I'm Elizabeth Henson. Welcome to the Messy Success Podcast, where I'm helping creative dreamers and overachievers tackle business and life. After 6 years of being my own boss, I finally unraveled a tiny bit of what it takes to survive in this amazing world of being an overly creative entrepreneur. I'm your business bestie, here to help you with all those big ideas and to normalize some of the day-to-day struggles that we all share. My mission is simple. I want more women to make a living doing what they love and to feel good about themselves in the process. The best way to start? We can't do it alone. So welcome. I hope you'll hang out with me here where it's totally okay to be messy. Yay! Oh my goodness, here we go, you guys. Episode 1. I am so excited that you're here. Today, I am going to tell you all about my crazy, twisty, turny, curvy journey into becoming the creative entrepreneur that I am today. So let's start from the very beginning. I grew up in Durham, North Carolina. I have 2 parents that are still married. I have an older brother. And I grew up kind of smashed in between UNC at Chapel Hill and Duke University. My mom was actually a nurse at Duke Hospital, and she was very artistic on the side. She dabbled in photography when my brother was little, and then as I was growing up, she got really into pottery. So I grew up in her art studio in the basement. I had my own little table. I was such a creative child, not a prodigy by any means. I didn't have like an outrageous amount of skill in one particular, medium. I just liked to create stuff. I have this memory of a butterfly that I made out of a toothpaste box that sat on a shelf at my grandmother's house because I would just make stuff for people. And luckily my family was so supportive and they embraced every little bit of it. So my mom quit nursing when I was a young teenager. I think I was in middle school, and she quit nursing to follow her dream of being an artist full time. And I just remember her saying to me, "You have to do what you love and find a way to make a living doing it. Don't just do what you're expected to do or what other people think you should do, but follow your heart and do what you love and find a way." So that must have been a pivotal age because I feel like it really stuck with me, and my whole life growing up, I knew that I wanted to work for myself. I knew that one day I wanted to be my own boss. I just had no idea how to get there or what that looked like. So my mom, was doing her art thing. I had started playing field hockey at about this age, and that was my love. That was my first love. That was all I cared about. I was like, if I am going to die tomorrow, I want it to be on the field hockey field. I mean, that was my life. Art was second, close tie with my social life at the time. And then the rest of my academics were somewhere, trailing behind. So I eventually came to Hampton Roads. That's how I ended up here to play field hockey in college. I ended up at Old Dominion University, and I played for an incredible program. I was actually on their team the very last year that they won the national championship in 2000. I was just a young little freshman, and it was a struggle, being a superstar field hockey player in high school, coming to such an incredible program. But I really embraced it. It was okay that I was sitting the bench because I was so honored just to wear the uniform. And I'm really glad that I followed my gut and that that's the decision that I made. So I always thought that I would go back home to North Carolina, but I didn't. I built a life here in Hampton Roads, and that's where I stayed. I did have a short little hiatus to Boone, North Carolina, after I graduated, but I quickly came back knowing that this was going to be my home. This is where all my friends were. And, I said my social life, super important, right? So I got a graphic design job out of college, and my degree was in fine arts. And I had, to make that decision. Do I want to major in graphic design or photography? And everyone told me graphic design. There's more job security. You'll always have a job if you do graphic design. The only way you're going to make money in photography is if you work for yourself, and nobody wants to do that. So I kind of just did what I was told, right? Like that little voice inside my head, that my mom taught me wasn't really very present at that time. It was more like, oh shit, you're graduating college. you need some job security. Let's just take the safe route. I was like, it's all fine arts, right? It'll be fine. So I majored in graphic design, got a job right out of college, and ended up with another job, both equally boring. And finally was like, this sitting in a cubicle for 8 hours a day is not for me. Nobody prepared me for this. I was a collegiate athlete. I cannot sit behind a desk for 8 hours a day. I'm going to go crazy. So I started to really miss field hockey. I mean, field hockey had been such a huge part of my life. I didn't know how to function without it. So I looked at coaching jobs, and there ended up being one at the school that was about 2 miles from my graphic design job. And I applied, and they offered me the position, and I said, I can stay for 1 year. I can coach for 1 year, and then I've got to move down to the Outer Banks. Like, I'm doing all kinds of other stuff. I mean, I was the definition of a career hopper, okay, for a long time. And I took the job, and I fell in love. I fell in love with the kids. I fell in love with the Ocean Lakes High School community, and that was the life I wanted now. So I went back to school to figure out how to become an art teacher, and I actually ended up staying with that school for 9 years. I coached for 7, stayed an additional 2 teaching art before I quit to do, this photography venture full time. And I loved it. And that's where I met my husband. He was coaching football. I was coaching field hockey. We were surrounded by these incredible students. It was so eye-opening for me. If you've never been an educator or worked in a public school setting, I highly suggest that you get involved in your community, because I was amazed that the amount of students that had normal, healthy home lives like I did growing up are so few and far between. And I was shocked at how many students had, the clothing that didn't fit right or had holes in it, and they were, getting the free lunches at school, and, the amount of kids that only had one parent at home. I mean, these heartbreaking stories. My husband would pick up a kid who was homeless for school every day and help him make sure that he was ready for football. I mean, it was so eye-opening for me, being somebody who just, played field hockey and loved art and had this crazy intense social life. To have my eyes open to the world like that was really, really incredible and a big stage of growth for me. So after my husband and I got married, that's when I started, picking up my digital camera that my mom gave me. Funny story, how she gave me the digital camera at my bridal shower. Okay, so I think it was like April before we got married. We got married in May. She gave me this camera on my bridal shower. I'm opening this box thinking it's going to be, underwear or champagne glasses, like the typical bridal gifts, right? No, it was a DSLR camera, and I just burst into tears. We have all of this photographed, and I had no idea that I was actually going to do anything with that camera, but it's almost like I knew. I mean, I just burst into tears opening this box. And then, right after we got married, I picked up the camera, and I just knew I was going to do something with it. And I just never stopped. I started taking pictures for free for all my friends, taking pictures of my nephew, anything and everything that I could take pictures of and learn. That's what I was doing. So that was May of 2012. And then in 2013, of the following January, I opened my business. And I shot my first wedding in March of 2013. So this couple is so special. I shot their engagements before I even had my business license. I was still practicing, did it totally for free. And they were like, will you please shoot our wedding? Please, please, please. And I was like, oh gosh, I don't know. Like, let's revisit this in a couple months. So they emailed me shortly after, I announced that I had started my business officially. And they said, please, please, please come shoot our wedding. So I said, all right, I will come shoot your wedding, but I'm not going to charge you anything. If you're happy with the results, then you can make a donation towards my next lens. And the wedding was incredible. They're the most wonderful people. And of course they donated, and I just never turned back. I booked, 2 more weddings that year and slowly grew little by little. And then 2.5 years later, I was able to quit teaching and be a wedding photographer full time. I saved up my little nest egg. I knew exactly how much money I needed to make to be able to still provide for my family. And 2.5 years, and I just did it. And I started working for myself, and I became completely addicted to that lifestyle of being my own boss and becoming an entrepreneur and growing a team. It has been such an incredible ride. And I think one of the questions that I'm asked the most is, do you miss teaching? I mean, anytime I see anyone that knows that I used to be a teacher or that was in my community, do you miss it? Of course I miss it. I miss the community more than anything. I don't miss working for somebody else. Like, I have always known that I needed to be my own boss. Like, I am sure there's some of you out there listening that know exactly what that feels like, that you're just a free spirit. You need to make your own rules. You need to make your own hours. An alarm clock is not for you. Like, it's totally okay. Sometimes we are just built that way. And it wasn't that I wasn't a good employee. I was a great employee. Every job I had, I would kind of work my way up to a certain point and then be like, I don't really want to grow anymore, or I'm bored, or I want to do something else. It was never a question of like not wanting a boss because I was defiant or late or anything like that. I would kind of divide and conquer and then move on. That was kind of my MO. Even waiting tables, I would work my way up to bartender or shift manager or whatever. That was an interesting time in my life too. Everybody should also wait tables if you've never done that. So here I am working from home, making my own hours, growing my little empire. And, the creative entrepreneur stuff kind of came about when I knew that being a wedding photographer was not enough for my soul. I love it. I love photography. I have 2 small children though, and I can't continue to work half of the Saturdays of the year. And I was also trying to fill that educational void. I mean, I am a passionate teacher at heart, and it's not that I like to give people knowledge. It's not like, here's how you do this. Here's step 1 through 10, and this will make you successful. I like helping people. I like serving people. I like making a difference. It fuels my soul, and it makes me feel like I have a reason to be on this planet, to reach out into my community and help other women who are like, I really love doing this thing. I really love taking pictures. I really like creating pottery. I really like designing necklaces. I want to do this more, and I want to be able to make a living or make some money doing it. And I really just love helping women who are in that transition. And then as we make that transition, realizing that we can do this any way that we want to, that our success doesn't have to be a perfectly color-coded spreadsheet. I was always one of those people that would get FOMO when someone had this gorgeous planner, this gorgeous bullet journal, this color-coded workflow. Like, man, I want to be that person. I want to be that organized. I want a spreadsheet that looks like that. And I finally realized, like, I'm just not that person. I'm not that person. And I have loved blogging. I have blogged for many years. It kind of slowed down recently as my wedding business picked up. And I decided that I wanted to start a podcast because I am not a great writer, and I didn't really feel that my personality was 100% coming through in a blog post. And a couple of my friends just started saying, why don't you start a podcast? What's stopping you? So the normal Liz Henson, let's wing it. Here we go. So this is totally not atypical for me to take on something new and something different. But I'm really excited to be here and kind of to share messy success with you guys, and that it's okay. Our lives get to look however we want them to. We get to create what our life looks like. And that doesn't mean that we can change it tomorrow, but we can change what it looks like 6 months from now, a year from now. We are in control, and it is okay for our path to be messy. It's okay to be a career hopper until we figure it out. And it's okay to be an entrepreneur and not look like other entrepreneurs. So I'm glad that you're here. This podcast is for you. So I want to hear all of your messy successes. I want to answer your questions. I want to have meaningful conversations. I want to be your business bestie. Thank you so much for being here. I can't wait until next time. I will put all of these funny pictures in the show notes. Me opening that camera and bursting into tears. My very first wedding couple, James and Anna, because I wouldn't be sitting here today if they had not taken a chance on me. And possibly an embarrassing picture of me playing field hockey. So head on over. You can go to elizabethhensonphotos.com/podcast. You can see all the pictures in the show notes there. And you can also join our VIP community and get access to some fun stuff behind the scenes. All right, I'll see you there.